right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Ricky's podcast number 7. Good to have you all. I'm solo here again, but we're gonna make it work. Oh yeah, improvisation. All right. Welcome to the podcast. Yes, I'm alone. Too bad. I really liked last episode, man. I would say that, yeah, probably hands down best episode I've had. Yes, we're a team. Never mind. That we've had just ever, man. That was great. Justin was great. Got over the whole, I don't know, I got the vibe from him at the beginning that he was worried about, saying things because this is going to go out on the internet for everybody to see. But, look, again, nobody's watching this, so, he kind of started to realize that towards the end. So, we able to let loose and have a good time. But I'm back. You're stuck with me today. And I'm feeling good, man. I finished all kinds of stuff. Yesterday I had my lesson. That went pretty well. Had combo. Not quite as well, but I survived, man. It's not to say it went horribly. It didn't go horribly. It went all right, but second rehearsal, still getting used to things. But it was nice that I recorded. We had this assignment for big band. We got to record some pieces, so I got that done. Dude, yes, last night, man. Dude, I had all the homework. I did my biotechnology, get that done. Took the quiz, pretty much aced it. Don't get the grades back till later, but I'm calling it here. Doing my Babe Ruth, just pointing out to the end of the fucking field and just calling the shot right then and there. But yeah, that went well. History homework was long, man. It's an excessive amount of questions on the history homework, man, just to expect it to be due every week. It's a lot. But, got it done. Recorded one of the pieces for big band that night. And I didn't go to sleep till 5 in the morning, son. Got up at 8. So I'm running off of 3 hours of sleep. But you know what? I feel good. I feel okay. Because tonight I'm going to be able to sleep. Tomorrow I'm going to be able to sleep. I've already got that planned out. And Friday I'm going to be able to sleep. So, I can finally kind of get to recovering. I don't know about you guys. I know everybody's different. But I find that when it comes to these things, these kind of sleep deprivation things, I think I can run off a 2-day kind of rule. Where it's like, you're sleep deprived and all that. First night you sleep well. The next day you're still going to feel pretty terrible. But then the next night, if you can bang it out 2 in a row, you're golden. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try not to take a nap today. I'm going to do the whole jet lag thing and just push all the way through. And then go to sleep at the time that I want to go to sleep at. So yes, there's my sleep schedule with Ricky. New YouTube channel, all about sleep schedules. But yeah, man, gotta do my YouTuber thing, like and subscribe, like the fucking comment, and I don't know. I saw an ad. I know you guys get it too, but it's they've been putting up these coronavirus ads, especially here in Arizona. I don't know if anybody's been following the nationwide news for the U.S. of A. But Arizona ain't doing so hot when it comes to the coronavirus numbers, They could be doing a lot better. Which is one thing, man. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why it's so bad here. you know, because it's not like we're in New York or California where there's just, people living on top of each other, When New York had it bad at the beginning, it made sense because, yeah, it's New York, You can't walk like 2 feet without bumping into 5 people. So, that made sense. California made sense. Most populated state in the country. But Arizona, man, I don't know what it is. But anyways, I keep seeing this ad. And I just love the escalation. Like, I like to fantasize about, like, like the last ad in the campaign, because at the beginning of the ad you might have, all my Arizona bros might have seen it, well, and broettes and things in between. You want to be inclusive, but you guys might have seen the whole there's an ad that's got like the pictures of all these like doctors and nurses and stuff with their masks, and it's just the guy saying if they can do this, you can do this. Not exactly subtle, but they're kind of keeping it short, keeping it direct, just bada bing, bada boom. And then the next ad they put up is like, if they can wear a mask while holding the hand of a suffering patient, you can wear one while going about your day-to-day tasks. Which is like, all right, putting in a little bit of a little condescending. I like it. And then I just imagine the end product just being like, it's like if they can wear a mask while holding the hand of their dying mother while they bleed from their eyes, you can wear a mask while circle jerking with the rest of your pussy ass friends. Mask up, bitch. Just total escalation to just yeah, I don't know. Nobody probably finds that funny, but I think it's funny. So and let's be honest, I'm half the audience of this podcast. So, I please who I want to please. Well, here it comes. First water break of the podcast. Water. Featuring the creakiest chair known to man. Yet again. I don't know. Gotta wait till I get more of an audience. I think this is going to be one of the memes. Creakiest chair known to man. Anywho, so that went absolutely nowhere. Yes, sir. Man. Look, I listened to all of last podcast, man. I never listened to these all the way. Mostly because it's just all me, just spouting off at my mouth. Just diarrheaing into this microphone. So I don't know. It's just, but last one was pretty, I don't know, I liked it. More of a conversation, man. That's what I always liked about podcasts. The conversation. Having just a couple dudettes, just, chatting it up. Keeping it loose, keeping it real. Just, So that was nice. Justin did great. Some basic things that, some noob stuff that, he just didn't know. Just common stuff, was always too far away from the microphone. But, that easy fix, just get up right on it, I don't know. I remember that one time just banging his water bottle on the table. Don't know what that was all about. One thing I also noticed during the podcast too with him is that you can tell that he was definitely enunciating to make sure other people could hear it. Because dude, you get him alone, man. Dude, that guy slurs like an entire paragraph into a single word, man. Basically, unless you've known him for at least a few years, just a lot of what he says is just going to be absolute nonsense, unless he's trying to enunciate. So that was nice to be able to understand everything he said. Yep, he's great. Anybody, want to comment? We'll probably have him on again at some point. But, we'll see. We'll see. Still thinking of who else I can sucker into this podcast. Could get Luke on. that could turn out well. Another bro is off to Harvard, so I don't know. I don't know if Harvard's going all online or not. I don't know. I mean, nobody does, but if there's any smart people listening to this podcast and, knows if Harvard is in person or anything, let me know. I don't even know if he's in the state. A bit shameful, but, it is what it is. But yes, I don't know. Again, comment. This is some old, day one fan privilege, man. Comment on this video if you want to be a guest. You'll probably get it, honestly. I'll probably let you on. Anywho. Yeah, this is what you do. This is what happens when you come on and just don't have a whole lot to talk about. And also running off of 3 hours of sleep. Not good. Not good. Get your sleep, kids. Man. I watched this documentary on HBO. It was the history of the National Enquirer. I don't remember what it was called, but you'll probably find it. I mean, I reckon it's probably the only documentary on HBO that they made about the Enquirer, but, it was really interesting, man. Just, all the things, pretty ruthless. You always think of, like, those National Enquirer reporters and stuff. You always think of them as just these slimy, just greasy, fucking, guys and gals. But, dude, I mean, those have got to be some of the hardest working people in the country, dude. I mean, just the competition to hold a spot at the National Enquirer was just bananas. All kinds of stories of, like people get fired just every week. It was just an absolute, just every man and woman for themselves. They're all British people for some reason. I don't know what that was all about. There's, they had a whole thing about how apparently British reporters are more aggressive than Americans. So I don't know where that comes from, but, there's that. There's some notable, they cover some notable kind of landmarks in the history of the National Enquirer. Touched on the death of Princess Diana. They got some O.J. Simpson, Arnold Schwarzenegger's run for governor, and of course, to keep it topical, I believe the documentary was made in either 2020, 2019, pretty recent. So of course they had to throw some Trump in there, as you just have to. You're making a documentary in 2020, you got to throw Trump in there at some point. It's the law. Let's be, you do have to do it. People will arrest you, So they had to put their, obligatory Trump segment. I don't know. Kind of, smushed it in towards the end, but it was interesting. It's interesting. I think they did a good job. Don't know who made it, but, whoever made that documentary did a great job. Great job at finding, hunting down these reporters. Although, I mean, I reckon these people are kind of past their reporting kind of prime. So, I don't know. I'm sure that they take any job they can get. That's got to be the easiest money ever made. Just being a guy, just being like a person who witnessed something, and then just, being on the documentary later, just being like, especially if you're on those, one of those like serial killer true crime documentaries, or, mob documentaries, just being like, and you're not even, you weren't even a part of the violence. You weren't like a family. You were just like a neighbor. Just being there as yeah, man, I knew Ted Bundy when he was a kid. He was always, always a brat kid. I don't know what went wrong with him. But, ever since he went off to college, he just got real quiet. Had a girlfriend, so we all thought everything was cool. Joined the Mormons, a little bit weird, as a Southerner, a good Christian Baptist or whatever they whatever religion they are down south. I don't know. But, he was a cool kid. I never would have guessed that he'd be capable of something like this. And then it's like, all right, cut. All right, great job, Bill. What's that like, just chuck him like a couple $1,000. It's like, all right, there you go. Or just royalties, man. Imagine hitting it big off a documentary. Dude, imagine being one of the Tiger King guys. I don't know if they get royalties just from being on the documentary. But if they do, bro, I mean, a lot of them went through like some serious ordeals, but I think there was like a couple folks that they were just, if you're just a person who visited the park and just had a good time, it's like, and then you just got to be, yeah, I saw, that they had, the tigers up in cages, seemed pretty obscene, but hey, man, $20 is $20, And then it's just, all right, thank you, Steve. I'll write you a check in the morning, and thank you for your contribution. It's all right, I'm out. But I don't know the first thing about making a documentary, man. Maybe that's just what I should make. I should make some documentaries. Yeah, new channel. Ricky's documentary channel. It's gonna happen. Right after just all the... Later, when we actually grow an actual audience, I'm gonna need somebody to keep track of all the new channels I'm gonna need to make. Get on it, I don't know. But, man, documentaries. So I also saw, I don't know if I mentioned it on another podcast, seeing the Action Park documentary. That was real interesting, man. Action Park. Honestly, look, okay, it's a good thing they closed it down, I think they repurposed it into a different park, made it significantly safer. But I don't know, man. I just, I feel like something like that just has, it ought to exist in the world. There has to be something that's so extreme that it's only for a very, very specific group of people. Like that park was, just for lunatics who are looking to just get the crap beaten out of them just while you're at a park and possibly die, Very specific, not family friendly in the slightest. But I feel like places like that, I don't know, just like, maybe they got to exist. And, again, I'm not saying that they should be open. But that's the thing. It's like, I don't know. It's like just to have that as an option. Everything's so safe, which is a good thing. But, I mean, all the old school teenagers always talk about how, yeah, man, we used to have the, jungle gyms that were just straight up just metal hunks, just with like spears sticking out of them, so that if you fell off the merry-go-round or whatever that thing's called, you just get impaled. Just having that sense of danger, Action Park, just be like, yeah, there's a slide where it just, you go down it and it just sends you flying into a wall of concrete, absolutely, class, just class act of a design choice. But that said, probably a good idea to shut that down if we're being real. The lawsuits were fair. That is one thing. That's what I'll say. We got to have places like Action Park, places that kind of hurt people, beat the crap out of people, but then also to balance out the nature, people also have the right to sue. That's what I'll say. Definitely. If you lose your son, if they die, worst comes to worst, man, look, it's not going to bring anybody back, but, it's the least they could give you. Just sets you up for the rest of your life. I don't know. But anywho, that's very hot takes with Ricky. So hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, by the way, nothing I say should ever be taken seriously, man. if you're listening to me, and being like, yo, this guy's making sense, maybe think about it for more than 5 seconds. Because, yeah, I definitely don't. So that's why I say it. Anywho, what we got? We're close to finishing up Dune. We're gonna get there. I know it. I think I'm gonna read maybe tonight. Maybe get that done so I don't have to do it, over the weekend. But I don't know. It's really starting to grow on me. The beginning of the book, it's really slow. Truth be told, science fiction just, it isn't really my genre. Kind of that whole, like science fiction fantasy combo just isn't really my thing. If I'm being real, But I'm enjoying it nonetheless. We're rounding it off. I'm glad I read it. Although there was probably I've got a whole library of books I could have read first, but I regret nothing. Got to, meet up with Justin, have a book club, so that's always a plus. But yeah, overall things are going well. I really can't complain. I do all the time, but dude, every day, man, every day I live, I'm just more and more convinced that I am the luckiest human being to ever exist, just ever, man. Not only to be born and listen, everybody loves to talk shit about America, but look, it's if you had to choose a place to live, it's let's be real, it's the best. It's absolutely fantastic living here. I can see people making arguments for other places. If you like it, I don't know, what's a good place? People seem to like France. Great Britain's kind of got a similar deal going on, What else? Japan apparently is, pretty great, But there's no denying that America really isn't just, it's in the top tier when it comes to potential countries to be born in. So, to be born in America to a normal ass family and just, normal childhood, relatively. And just to, just living it up, man. Living it up in the city. Man, it's really fantastic. There's no expressing how grateful I am, dude. It's just so great. And just, being able to do what I do, being able to live at a time when you can just record a podcast and broadcast it for everyone to see. You don't have to go through a network. You don't have to censor your curse words. You just get to say what you want to say and just, just chill. The way, really, the way television was kind of meant to be done, Just pure entertainment. Assuming that this is entertainment. Oh, how are the you-knows? Listening to past podcasts, man, I really just hammer the crap out of that phrase. It's starting to bug me. I don't know if anybody else catches up on it, but I've been saying it with quite a lot of frequency. That was one of those phrases when I was in elementary school. I was put in a speech program because they said I had a stutter. But it was the stutter wasn't like the classic stutter you think of just being like, what did you, for just like the King's Speech, not that kind of stutter. It was like just filling in phrases because my brain was, running at 1,000,000 miles a minute, much faster than my mouth could even catch up with. That's what they tell me. So I'm just having to fill in with all these phrases to kind of fill in the gaps between things. Oh, also, by the way, yeah, you're probably going to hear my sister singing. Look, it's great. It's great that she's into music, but sometimes people got to record podcasts, but I'm not going to bug her about it because I'm also a musician, so she had to deal with my shit at 3 in the morning, so it's fine. Anywho, what was I thinking about? This is not diagnosed with any kind of ADHD or ADD. I definitely don't have the H. I'm just exhausted all the time. Maybe I have the ADD, man, because I get distracted sometimes and it just absolutely derails my train of thought. Man, what was I actually talking about? Yeah, my stutter. So I just fill in these phrases. Just fill it in. Like, I'd put in, I'd put in a bunch of likes, then which is, just in places that don't even make sense. I just throw which is. I think which is was like my go-to phrase along with which, God, I keep saying it, which it's easy to see. It kind of fits everywhere. Everybody knows what you're talking about. So anywho, they put me in the speech program to work on that, but it was weird because because my elementary experience, my K through 6, was divided in half, or close to half, 4 to 3. So my K through 3 was at an elementary school, and my 4 through 6 was and they call it an intermediate school, which I don't know if people have that other places. So I was at Desert Winds Elementary, and the speech program there, of course, my memory it's foggy on a good day, so there's no way I'm remembering back in elementary school. But from what I remember, the speech therapist, or whatever you call her, was pretty great. Pretty effective, I thought. Really worked on it. But then, dude, I got to Picture Rocks, and, I don't like to talk smack about people, but the speech therapist there just... First of all, she got, the wrong diagnosis. I don't even know what that was all about, even. But apparently, she was under the impression that I was in speech because I had trouble with small talk, which, to be fair, I think that's something we could all improve on. Learning how to just talk to people normally. Which, look, man, dude, every kid ever was just an absolute psycho when they were, elementary school, dude. So looking back on it, the things I did really weren't that weird when it comes to my social awkwardness. But, man, my sister's really distracting me. She's she's a soprano, so she likes to really just slam those high notes and just, the ones that just shred through your brain, And when she does it, the bad thing about, I think, the both of us living in the same space is that we're our sleep schedules are totally flipped, because I'm like a night owl. I'll be up at 3, 4 in the morning, like last night, recording stuff, practicing, listening to things, just going at it. Meanwhile, she just gets up really early and just insists on warming up just at 6 in the morning. Just, dude, people are trying to, get more than 2 hours of sleep a night. Could you help a guy out, But, yeah, it could be worse. Could be worse. I never got into that. Could be worse. I always hated that phrase. I was talking I was at my grandfather's funeral, which, what a way to start off a joke. Just yeah, so I was at my grandfather's funeral and talking to, I guess an uncle-in-law? What do you call it? Married to my aunt? I don't know. Guess it's maybe just an uncle. I don't know. Uncle, let's call him Steve. Yeah. Uncle Steve. Talking to Steve. And, he's a journalist. I don't know if anybody's I don't know if anybody's played the video game Dead Rising, dude. But I make so many Dead Rising jokes in my head every time I think about him, and it's the greatest thing ever. Because although the personality is nowhere even close to Frank West, because Steve is he's just a cool dude, you know, just your average cool dude. Reminds me a bit of, his personality reminds me a bit of Hank from Breaking Bad. Just, you know, keeping it loose, keeping it real, just, you know, throwing some dad jokes now and again, he's just an overall good time. Likes to keep it chill. But I like to, because the famous line, of course, the classic line from Dead Rising is just, you know, when he's just in the hall, it's like, you know, and she hands him a gun, what's it? I forget, she's like FBI, I think, or something. FBI, CIA. Hands him a gun, and it's like, are you sure you can handle this? It's like, yeah, it's like, I've covered wars, you know. Which I don't even understand how that became the big line from Dead Rising. But somehow it works, dude. Like, I don't know how it became a meme, but now that it is a meme, it's like the funniest line ever. And every time I get to that spot in Dead Rising, I'm always just like, oh man, he's gonna say it. He's gonna say it, dude. He's gonna say the thing. Which is hilarious because Steve, you know, Uncle Steve, has actually covered wars. So it's like, so, you know, so he's like, you know, I just always make, you know, Frank West jokes. I don't know. I've got a sick sense of humor, man. I'm always just like, just imagine him just like artillery just bombing his base, just boom, 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 gunfire everywhere, and just him just like running around, like scuttling around like Frank West does. I just like to picture him like that. Like the way Frank West just has his kind of like goblin waddle and just like whilst clutching a camera with his hand, and, you know, with one hand, and just to keep it steady, and then just like taking it, and then just all the classic Frank West lines, just like boom, click a picture of like a platoon getting blown up, just like fantastic. Anywho, so that's a fantastic, God, Dead Rising. What a masterpiece of a video game, dude. It's so good. Just for the unintentional hilarity of everything. Dead Rising 2 and Off the Record were great, but man, one's got to be my favorite. It's just so good. All the classic lines. I still say it in my head, just fantastic. Every time something just messed up happens. It feels like that's always when he uses the line. Because in the game you can snap pictures and just, you know, you take a picture of like you know, zombies eating a dead corpse, and he always has to add in just a fantastic. He just sounds so pleased with himself. He's just such a psychopath, man, and I love it. Anyways, at my grandfather's funeral, as you do, talking to Steve, and I guess he's applying for a position at some place, I don't remember, but he didn't get it. So, you know, yeah, he was like, yeah, didn't get it, a bit disappointed, but you know, it could be worse. And dude, I just went off. I don't even know what got into me. I was just like, dude, I never got into that phrase. You know, could be worse. Could be worse. What kind of bullshit logic is that? Could be worse. Yeah, could always be worse. Nobody understands, but no matter how fucked up your situation is, it can always get worse. Always. Always. Even if you go by the logic that, oh, you know, it's just the most miserable person. They don't have to, you know, they don't have to have had the worst case scenario of ever anything. But just whoever's had it the worst, you know, but it just means whoever's had it the worst in all of history is the only person who can feel bad about themselves, you know? Because that guy's probably dead. Let's be real here. The kind of bullshit they used to pull in the medieval, you know, all the torture and stuff. You know, the most miserable person in all of history, probably dead. So that just means nobody can be unhappy. Just be like, yeah, you can't experience this totally human emotion because, fuck you, I guess, you know? I never got into that, man. Just can't stand it. Can't stand it. The thought behind it. It's one of those things that everybody says, but I don't think anybody actually thinks about for more than a couple seconds. Could be worse. Yeah, could always be worse. But anyways, that's just me going off about a simple phrase. That's something I seem to be do. Even since I was a kid, man, just a little kid, I'd hear these common phrases that you just hear all the time. Just be like, for example, in the morning, for just, early in the morning, going out, going to get your coffee, or the day's just started at work or at school, or you roll up, you got your friend or your family in the morning, and they're like, hey, good morning, how's your day going? And I'm just always like, I don't know. Hasn't started yet, so, check back to me like maybe when the day's over. Ask me how my day was, I don't know. Oh no, it's like, how are you doing today? That's it. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. Day's just started. I got it Tuesday, man. Tuesday, not yesterday, but the week before. I got it where it's just like someone was just like, hey, so how's your week? It's like, it's Tuesday. It is Tuesday. Anything could happen. Even if it was like, Saturday night. Anything could happen. One thing I've discovered about as terms of how good or bad a week is, it's defined by the worst experience you've had that week. It's always how it is, man. So even if you're just doing fantastic, it's just, your week can always just get wrecked by just something. Like, you can never just have just a balls week and then it just gets saved by, maybe it does. I guess it happens. If something happens to you that's so great that you just, it bounces off the bad. But it's rare, man. It's very rare that a bad week can get saved by just a good thing that happens. So, I don't know, that's another thing. There's another one I was thinking of, I always forget it, just like, how are you? I don't know how that got to be a thing. Really is a testament to how, like, the culture of America, it's all fake, man, it's all just dress up. Everyone's pretending. Not to say that that's a terrible thing, not to say it's a flaw in the character of America, but it's the reality, though. Just everything is, everything has to seem better than it actually is. So it's always like, hey, how are you doing today? You can't say, oh, I got into a fight with my girlfriend this week. I'm going to be evicted if I don't pay my rent this month. I was turned down with this audition with whoever. And I'm just feeling, it's like, okay, well, I didn't ask for your life story. I just asked you to, I was just being nice, all right? I didn't sign up for this. That's the thing. If someone asks you how you're doing and your answers aren't great, fantastic, all right, something, no, not even all right. All right's even just, if someone asks, if you ask a person how they're doing and they're just like, all right, it's like, that is a cry for help, man. If anybody answers that question with, anything other than fantastic or great, it's just, that is a cry for help. That's just the way it is, man. If people just aren't on all the time, you just know something's seriously wrong. It's just the way, just the way it goes. Not to say anything's better or worse, but that's just the way it is. Anywho, yeah, we are balls deep in this thing, son. 40 minutes. I'm still looking forward to the day when I can make it through an entire podcast without referencing the time. But we're going to get there, man. It's only podcast 7. I feel pretty good about the progress I've made in terms of the progression of the quality of the podcasts. I haven't listened to the early ones in a hot minute, but I feel like if I listen to podcasts like number 1, number 2, like, it's got to be a serious jump in quality. Even from number 2 to number 7. Even from number 2 to number 3, let's be real, son, Serious jump in quality. I'm really pleased. I hope I can keep this up, because I know it's getting better. I don't know how long. I feel like a good kind of goal, because don't get me wrong, these solo podcasts, great. It's great just to talk, have just a bit of a therapy session just with you alone in a room. But man, I love just talking with a person for like an hour straight or more. That's just best feeling, man, I tell you, best feeling. Even if it's like about some bullshit, it's best feeling. Last podcast was great. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. Listen to the whole thing, man. Just to re-experience the whole podcast experience. Not to overuse the word experience, but there's some things that we could improve. I've got to deal with the wind situation. I was trying to plan out where to do the podcast because we couldn't find an indoor space to do it, really. And looking at outside, of course, wind is always a factor. And especially with my setup that doesn't have anything to protect against it, you really got to be careful. Which is why the initial location that we'd picked out, it was in the ground. It was like a pit, so the wind wasn't really getting in as bad. But then, we had to move to an outlet, so that kind of threw a bit of a wrench in things. But hey, at least we were able to finish it. But I need to find a place where the wind isn't terrible and there's an outlet. That would be fantastic. Is that getting old yet? I'm going to use it like at least 100 more times, so get ready. Strap in, sons. God. I love Dead Rising so much. Man, I should replay it again. Man, maybe I should get the Platinum Dead Rising. Yeah, if that didn't give away, I'm a PlayStation player. I don't know if I told anybody. PlayStation guy all the way. Man, it's rough. It's rough for Xbox, man. Because they never really had it in the exclusive department. All they had, what did they have? Like Halo. Halo, from what I understand, is great. I never really played it a whole lot because, no Xbox. But just from the brief times when I visited like a cousin's house or friends, I don't go to friends' houses, or to a school function, I don't know, where they have an Xbox set up. Just playing the multiplayer, it was pretty good from what I can tell. Not much of a multiplayer guy myself, but it's alright. Serves its purpose. But that's all they have, just Halo. What else do they have? They got that one racing game, but, Gran Turismo is just so much better, So I don't know. Xbox has got to really step up, son. I mean, even Dead Rising, man. Because Dead Rising used to be an Xbox exclusive, and the third game still is. But, now they're getting ported over to PlayStation, and it's just... Man, they're losing it, man. Losing their exclusives to us normies, PlayStation folks and PC guys. They're losing their exclusives, man. I hate to be the one to call it, but this might be like maybe this one or the next one, man. Unless they can really pull it around. It might be over for Xbox. Hate to say it, but it might be true. Listen, happened to Sega. Happens to the best of them, You come out with just a baller console, but then it just degrades, and eventually you take it down. Everyone likes to talk about PlayStation, Xbox, man, but like Nintendo's never even part of the discussion. They're just off in their own universe. Just like, what's even going on with Nintendo anymore? Just like, they've still got their Mario and then Legend of Zelda and stuff. You know, that's really what they run on, man, because the PlayStation exclusives are great. Got like The Last of Us, Uncharted, God of War, all that jazz. But when it comes to exclusives, man, dude, does anybody have exclusives more iconic than Nintendo? You like people. You can. I know some people who bash it now that they're an adult, being like, "Oh, you play Nintendo? Ain't that a bunch of kids games?" And like, I don't play Nintendo. It's just not what I'm really into at the moment. But But dude, no denying, man, those are great games. Even if Mario, Zelda, fantastic. I have a Wii. The ye olde Wii. Played some Legend of Zelda on there. That was my bag. Legend of Zelda is what I was all about. Shredded through some Twilight Princess, probably my favorite. And look, I've heard there's haters on both Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, but I don't know, just me saying what I think. Fantastic games, both of them. Both just fantastic games. A lot of people like to diss the motion sensor for some reason. I thought it was great. I'm talking about Skyward Sword. Having buying an extra peripheral is, yeah, could have made it better, but, could be worse. But, anywho, what was I even talking about? Yeah, Dead Rising. Might be able to get the platinum if I really go for it. I'm planning out the, because there's like the trophy, the 7-day survivor, I think. You gotta last 7 days in infinite mode. That seems to be the one. It's like 14 hours straight of just surviving. And, you mess up once and it's just back to the beginning. That's gotta be just heartbreaking. Just to survive 13 hours and like 50 minutes just to get, just to starve to death or just to get killed by some random zombie that you didn't see. That has got to suck. But, I don't know. It's crazy. Crazy stuff, man. Been thinking of planning Dead Rising. If I can get a multiplayer guy and a, cooperative partner, I'd definitely go for Dead Rising 2 and Off the Record. Because those both have multiplayer trophies, achievements. That if you want to get them all, you gotta get them. So, I don't know if I can find somebody. Apparently Justin's gonna, switch over. He's defecting over to the PlayStation because he was an Xbox dude. From what I understand, for a little while. But look, man, you don't throw the people some bones. They're gonna defect. It's just the way of the world. It's just how it goes sometimes. Anywho, how you guys liking this, yeah? Talking about video games just as a proof of how much I've wasted my life with all of this baloney. But I don't know. I can't say I regret anything. Winding it down. Yeah, I wonder what the drop-off is actually for people who listen to podcasts. I wonder what is the percentage of people who make it all the way to the end. Because I always I always finish podcasts pretty much. I might miss it here or there if I'm like getting into it and I'm like, yeah, not really all too interested. I think I'll just skip, But if I'm interested, man, I'll finish it. 3-hour, podcast. I'll finish it all. I don't know. People, I remember when I was a kid, everyone was always talking smack about my generation, being like, oh yeah, they got like the shortest attention spans out of anybody, and they're lazy, entitled. It's like, yeah, Yeah, they're kids. Yeah? You're talking about kids. You're saying you weren't entitled when you were a kid? You know, what kind of useless logic is that? It's like, oh yeah, the new generation, man. Ugh, all they want to do is just sit down and play video games all day. You know, it's like, yeah. Wouldn't you? If you had the opportunity when you were a kid, you know, you'd spend all your time playing video games, you know. Being like, I remember they were saying that, oh, this generation's going to be the first generation to have a shorter life expectancy than the one after. I don't even know. I feel like a lot more people are being health conscious nowadays. I don't even know if that's even true anymore. They're just talking about it because they were just asking these kindergartners, being like, so what's your diet like, little Timmy? It's like, well, you know, sometimes I just eat the dirt. You know, I just get a good old bucket of dirt and eat it between Snickers bars. It's like, oh yeah, this guy's dying at 40, you know. It's like, yeah, no kidding. You look at a kid's diet, you know, if you continued that diet till you were an adult, yeah, of course you would die, but you know, but you're gonna mature. You're gonna, you know, get more life benefits. I don't know. You know, every generation likes to talk smack about the one before and the one after. So that's nothing new. It's the way it always has been. Probably the way it's always gonna be. So, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, sometimes it's just satisfying. Good to just talk smack. That's the thing. I'm never one to talk smack about people, but I do like to talk smack if I can feel like I can really let loose. Because I always just feel bad. Because I just have, I don't know, I just put myself into other people's shoes when it's like, oh, when most people are like, oh, this guy's a dick, man. What's with him, man? He's just always just so mean, so standoffish. And I'm just like, yeah, this guy was probably brutally bullied as a kid. And that's probably why he's like this. And he wasn't particularly good looking. And he wasn't particularly witty. And he wasn't really smart. And he didn't really have much social skills. So he just had no avenues through which to gain respect. So he just resorting to being an asshole, pretty much. And that's how he compensated, you know? Because if you can't be good, you can't at anything, you can at least be notable. It's really what people, you know, I think that's part of the reason why people, you know, we have mass shootings and stuff and serial killing, is that people just get so, they get into the mindset of just, you know, if you've been bullied your whole life, people hate you, or you're just not feeling, you know, you just don't feel fulfilled by the life trajectory that you're going towards. You just feel like, man, if I can't make a good difference into this world, I can at least be notable in some ways. I feel like if you took, especially like, you know, these kid school shooters that you always hear about in the news, American news, you know, you're always like, man, if you gave this kid the opportunity to just have a good life, you know, give him a girlfriend, give him like respect from his peers, just let him find purpose. No way he would have shot up an elementary school, man, or a synagogue or whatever. It's just these people are just lost, you know. You just get into a bad headspace and it just ruins you. Anyways, I don't know anything about anything, so take that as you will. But now comes my favorite part of the podcast, trying to figure out what to title this. The thing about doing these things is that I always forget what I talk about. So I always have to just skip around and hope I find something notable to, you know, slap a title on it. Sometimes, you know, some things are easier than others, but just gotta roll with it. Anywho, 54 minutes, second time I referenced the time. But one day I'll be able to talk straight through, just no breaks and just boom, boom, boom. In my defense, 3 hours of sleep, again, probably made me a bit loopy. I'm starting to feel it, man. I'm starting to feel the sleepiness creeping up on me. But hey, I don't have much longer here, so I'm gonna enjoy it. I love doing these podcasts, man. These are one. There's decisions you make in your life that you're like, the moment you make it, that it's like, oh yeah, this is an excellent decision I've made here, and this really has been just a great. Even though nobody's watching it, yeah, I mean, even Justin's dropped off. He like made it through like 2 episodes and just like, I'll check back in at episode 25, see if he's improved any. But these have been nice just to talk. I think that's, again, I think people just talked. I think that's one thing that everybody, I remember when I was a kid, they're talking about, yeah, all the kids, they've got their phones. They're not talking to people. They're becoming antisocial, which, I mean, okay, looking at it, kind of true. I'm not going to lie. I don't think it was like the apocalypse they made it out to be, but it is true. I think one of the greatest experiences is just chilling with your friends, just letting loose. Best feeling in the world. Unless you're some kind of psychopath. I don't know. I wonder how that happens. Now that I'm looking into some sciences, because I'm taking this biotechnology class, and we're kind of looking into how things are done, how things are made, how we think about things. And you look at the ways that we use bacteria throughout society just to make things better. We make milk out of the rennet from like baby calves, which, while ethically questionable, it happened. They're curbing that quite a bit, switching to fungus again, which kind of a similar deal to bacteria, to kind of synthesize our milk that way. That's a question. I don't know. I don't think I know anybody who's like a staunch non-GMO person. I mean, it's not to say that I like GMOs in my food or anything, but it's like I'm not one to just not eat or drink something just because it has GMOs in it or it's made with some kind of genetic modification. But that's an ethical question, though. Which is worse, having milk made from rennet, which is created by crushing up the stomach of a baby calf, which naturally leads to the death of the calf, or to have genetically modified bacteria that, synthesizes it that way. I don't know. Any staunch non-GMO people, comment, man. Slap a comment. Nobody's commented before, so I'm not expecting any kind of crazy contribution. But if anybody just happens upon this thing and somehow makes it to 58 minutes, third time referencing the time, keeping track, keeping score. If anybody happens to make it this deep in the podcast and, wants to contribute, I'd be happy to read it. Like to hear from folks, get some new perspectives. Because I'm just not that guy, Of course, I'm not a vegetarian. I love meat. When it comes to just like those major food groups to eat, man, meat, it's just my thing, man. I'm not going to go full carnivore, of course, but, meat's just fantastic. Chicken, I always rave about chicken all the time. Everybody, of course not everybody, but, people love steak. I like steak. It's great. I like it. Tastes fantastic. Pork I'm iffy on. Pork I can kind of stand it, but I'm just not really into ham. Not really into like those. I think they make like ribs or something. And look, here it comes. Brace yourselves, folks. Hot take of the century. Not that into bacon. I'll say it. Not that into bacon. It's basically just crispy ham. I'll be real. I don't know how it got to be so. I mean, it can add something to something. That's how I feel about it. Like, you put that in like a breakfast burrito, smush it up into chunks. Fantastic. Fantastic. But just by itself, I don't think it works as a solo act, man. it's kind of like how I feel about jalapenos. I don't know if that's a hot take too, but just I'm not into the taste of jalapenos. I like the spiciness. I really like things spicy. I haven't come across anything yet that is too spicy for me. But to be fair, I haven't really been looking too incredibly hard. So I'm sure it's out there. But, into the spiciness, not really into the flavor. You can put it in like a burger or like, I don't know, some other things. And it makes it great. But you just need something, for me at least, to dilute the flavor and just get straight to the spiciness. Anywho. So yeah. Just face planted. 3 hours of sleep, folks. Sometimes you just talk and you just can't think of anything else to talk about. What was I even talking about? I don't even know. Man, I'm going to have to look back on this. Try to figure out what I'm doing. I know I'm going to get better at this. I know if I keep sticking with it. I've been trying to go for like a one a week. Which the first few podcasts, I've just been, I noticed I have this thing where I definitely have like a honeymoon period when I get into like a new obsession to where like I'll really, I don't know what's a thing that I get into now and again. What was I even thinking about? I'm trying to think of examples. I don't know, running, I guess. Or no, cycling, because that's kind of more recent. Got really into cycling. Would like ride around the neighborhood, and then went to like riding to the park, riding around that, coming back. Riding around. The thing about where I live, there ain't a whole lot of scenery, so you kind of gotta, got really into cycling, and then just kind of fell off, lost interest. That's the thing. Sometimes I just lose interest, but I feel like this could work out. I finally, the honeymoon periods cooled down because before I was just pumping them out like, I remember the first two just twice a day. Because I remember first podcast and the second podcast were both recorded the same day. And then literally the day after was the third one. So in the span of 2 days, I pumped out just three solo podcasts. So that was nuts, nuts to do. In hindsight. But, sometimes I just really get obsessed with something and I gotta just do it all the time. But this is nice. A one a week schedule. It's a good kind of spacing to kind of keep things from getting stale with me. Because, of course, you do these solo podcasts. You gotta think of something to say the whole time. So, it's part of the reason why I just absolutely loved the last podcast. That was great. If I had the decision to make that's how I do it, I would never not do it with another person. It's just a great thing. I don't know. I might check in with Justin, get him back. I don't know if I want to make him a regular guest on the podcast. Sometimes it's tough to gauge with him how busy he gets. Well, I wouldn't say it's tough. You kind of get the hint when he, starts canceling plans, every week. You get the gist that, yeah, he's just swamped, man. Engineering major. X gonna give it to you, But, he's making it happen. Cheers for him. But yeah, I guess it's about the time I should start wrapping this up. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. However you want to contribute, whether it's subscribing, leaving a comment, liking. I think Justin was saying last podcast, I don't know if you guys had heard it or not, but he was saying that, yeah, he always felt weird about commenting on videos. It's just not a thing he did, and it's not a thing I do either. I don't even really like videos unless I really like them, then I'll just I'll like them just to have them, save them pretty much. It's pretty much what it is for me. The like button is just a save button. You could create not podcast, a playlist, and put those in down there, or you could just like it and it's just there. One button, boom, done. So yeah, anywho, subscribe, like, comment, do what you gotta do. If you want to be a guest, comment. I think I'm just opening it up to, I think you gotta know me. If you know me, definitely leave a comment. I'll see if I can get you on, for sure. If I don't know you, I'm sorry. I don't think I'm gonna get that open with it. Can't trust strangers anymore, man. It's not a thing. So yeah. So if you know me already, watch this podcast. Maybe you don't feel like leaving a comment, but send me a message, send me a text, do what you gotta do. We'll get you on. Don't be shy. Don't be like, oh, I don't know if he wants to talk to me. No, I'm desperate. I'll take anybody. Just, So yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it. I like how I always say guys, implying that multiple people are watching this. Nobody's going to watch this. I think the 5th podcast still has 0 views. So, literally nobody's watching this podcast. But we make it work. It is what it is. And look, I'm not upset about it. For sure. Look, I love it. That's the thing. I feel like teachers, when you're growing up, they're always like, yeah, you got to work hard. Make sure to be on top of it. Don't let things fall behind in your career. Make sure to put in the work, pay your dues, all that stuff. But honestly, if you actually genuinely love what you're doing, you don't have to work at all. You do like something like this. I mean, it's not work, of course, but you do a podcast and it's like, dude, I mean, what? You just blast through an hour and you don't even think about it. You're just, boom, done. An hour, people might think of it as like an hour of work, but it's just, you have a blast doing it. So the time flies by and it doesn't feel like, work. So anywho, I know nobody asked for that, but this is such a shit show. I don't know how to end these things. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Leave your support. It's always great. Honestly, at this point, don't even have to like, favorite, subscribe, whatever. Just by watching this, already just eternally grateful. Anywho, I've padded this out for long enough, so I'm just gonna leave it here. Let the outro music play. Thank you guys, and I will see you all in the next one. Thanks. End of the podcast. It's the end of the podcast. Check back in next time, and we